Hi, my name is Liz, and I'm here today to tell you a little bit about the GLP1 journey that I started almost 2 months ago. So, I am living in South Korea as a teacher, and I have decided that it was time to take control of my weight. It's a sensitive subject, so I appreciate if you are kind, if you decide to leave a comment. Um, I started by looking online. I'm living in South Korea. What are my options? How do I meet with a doctor to get prescribed one of the GLP-1s? I didn't know which one would be recommended, but I, of course, started my search with Google, and I got results from Gemini, and I'm not a fan of getting information from an AI source. I searched a few times. Every time I searched, I seemed to get slightly different results. I much prefer getting information, especially regarding healthcare and being in touch with a medical professional from an actual person. So if, like me, you are living in South Korea and you have been considering whether you should try a GLP-1, but your Korean language skills are not so great like mine, I can tell you how I went about getting prescribed my first GLP-1. So what I did find online was that I could either go to a family medicine doctor or an endocrinologist. And my experience with family medicine doctors is that they don't often speak very good English, especially if you're going to a small clinic. So what I found maybe on Reddit was to go to a large university hospital. So that is what I did. I found an endocrinologist or an endocrinology department at a large university hospital in my city, and I called them. I said on the phone when I finally, hit the right buttons to get to a person, 혹시 영어 하세요? Perhaps do you speak English? And they connected me to someone who could. Large university hospitals usually have some kind of global health center, so they have English-speaking people who can help you set up your appointment. I also have a family history of thyroid problems, so I felt that I was probably due for a full thyroid workup, just anyway. So I explained about my family history and that I'd like to see an endocrinologist to get my thyroid tested and to also discuss weight management. So I did have to wait. Oh gosh, I think I contacted them in the beginning of November, and I had the appointment set for the beginning of the second week of December. So I think December 8th was when I had my first appointment. And so I went to the hospital. I didn't really fully understand what I was doing when I walked in, but one of the nurses helped me to register at this little kiosk. They do your blood pressure, height and weight, all of that, and then I just sat until my name was called. I went in and I met with the doctor. So if you've never been to a doctor in South Korea before, you'll be surprised by how fast those appointments are pretty much universally. You're in, you're out. They find out what's wrong with you and then they send you on your way, usually with a prescription in hand. I've been to doctors for a cold, for shoulder injury, and they're very fast here. And that's perhaps by design because they have a very high demand. Like there's a lot of people in the endocrinology department, even early in the morning, waiting to be seen for whatever reason, diabetes, thyroid issues, et cetera, et cetera. And so, yeah, I met the doctor. I told her about my family history with thyroid issues. And so she ordered a blood test for me a couple weeks later because I hadn't fasted that day. So I had to come back after 2 weeks to get my blood drawn. But yeah, I mentioned I'd also like to explore my options when it comes to weight management. And she said, well, yeah, based on your BMI, you definitely qualify. I was like, yeah, I know. And perhaps I'll talk a little bit more in another video about my struggles with my weight. So my BMI was like 40 on that day when I came. But I actually was down 2 kilograms since my previous doctor's appointment where I had been weighed in September. So I was like, hey, that's good. But also still, like a BMI of 40 is very high, and definitely in the obese category. I know I hate BMI. It's such a poor measure of overall health, but it is what it is, and that was all that she really looked at to determine whether I was a good candidate for a GLP-1. So she offered to me tirzepatide. So that was the first one that she offered. She's like, we know this one's really effective. It's now available. It is branded Mounjaro. So South Korea is more similar to the UK than the US, where the medication, the brand name doesn't really matter. Like they didn't. I know Mounjaro in the US is rated for type 2 diabetes. I don't have that. But here in South Korea, they can prescribe it just for obesity. So it's similar to the UK from what I understand. So yeah, I got prescribed the 2.5 milligrams. She said, well, titrate you up pretty quickly up to the 15. And I was like, oh, okay. So I got the prescription. I found that one of the pharmacies really close to the hospital had it in stock. And so that's where I go now to get it, is a large pharmacy that's right across the street from the hospital. They have had no problem filling my prescription. I've only filled the prescription twice so far. I do have to go back once a month to check in with the doctor and to make a game plan. So yeah, the second month that I went to see the doctor who prescribed to me actually was out sick, so I had to see a different doctor, and she was ready to increase my dose to 5 milligrams, and I was like, actually, I kind of want to stay on 2.5, because in the first month, I lost 5 kilograms, which is about 2.2 pounds for 1 kilogram, and so I lost like 11 pounds in the first month, and that's a lot. Like, that's more than 2 pounds a week. And every video that I've watched has kind of said, like, you want to be in the, 1 to 2 pounds a week lost. And the medicines worked really well for me, actually. So I was like, yeah, I think because I've lost so much in the first month, I really want to stay on the 2.5. So that doctor was like, okay, yeah, if that's what you want, that's what we'll do. So she had no problem with collaborating with me on that decision, and just following what I wanted, basically. So yeah, I got my 2.5 milligrams prescribed again. The pharmacist was a little surprised that I was staying on the 2.5, but I was like, I've already lost 5 kilograms. That's like so much in 1 month. Like, that's a lot. I know I've got a lot to lose, but yeah, and I am a couple days, it's now Saturday the 31st. My next appointment is on Monday the 2nd of February, and so yeah, I did decide to invest in a body composition scale because I want to keep track of not just the number on the scale, but also my lean muscle mass compared to my fat, and make sure that I'm not losing too much muscle mass compared to the fat loss. And so far, it's been pretty good, actually. But yeah, on month 2, I've also basically lost 5 kilograms again. So it's been very consistent. Perhaps I'll make another video talking about how I've changed my diet to work with the tirzepatide, because I think that's a really important key factor here when you're totally changing your life, which that is what this medication seems to do for me and a lot of people out here. But yeah, that's been my experience so far with the Korean healthcare system. It's been very straightforward, very easy, somewhat stress-free, and the doctors at the university hospitals all speak really good English in my experience. So if, like me, you really don't speak Korean, that is the route I would recommend. Find yourself an endocrinology department that also does weight management, and Bob's your uncle. Okay. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what else I should include here. It's my first video, and talking to a camera is kind of awkward, but here we are. We're doing it anyway. Yeah, so, yes, so with my next appointment on Monday, I think I should be able to see my original doctor who prescribed me the medication back in December, and I think we'll continue with the 2.5 milligrams because it's working pretty well. Weird thing, it just kind of coincidence, is that I started tirzepatide like on my menstrual cycle, like day 2. And so every time I've gone, I've been like in the middle of my menstrual cycle. I haven't actually noticed too much weight loss or weight gain around my cycle. And normally I want to devour the world when I'm on my period. Um, but the tersepatide really has helped to curb that appetite. And so, like today, I wanted a cookie. I got a cookie. It's no big deal. It's day 2 of my period. Like, I deserve a freaking cookie, you know? And I'm not gonna beat myself up about that. Like, I'm a little more mindful of the calories. Like, maybe I'll eat it and then I'll see the calories. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's a lot of calories. That's why, when I wouldn't control my eating, I probably gained a lot of weight because I would go for those high calorie snacky foods like cookies and gummies and kinds of things. But anyway, we're starting a new leaf with this GLP1 journey, and I'm really excited about it. I can tell you a lot more about all the research I've done, like basically the first week that I started the medication and I first experienced some side effects. I was like, I think I need to do some more research about what I've gotten myself into. So for the past 7 weeks, I've been going hard on looking up information from doctors and other GLP-1 users, especially on YouTube. I found it really, really helpful. There's tons of people talking about this experience. So if this is the first video about GLP-1s that you're watching, which I really hope it's not, I would tell you that you should definitely look up the doctor information first. There are many, many, many doctors who have written books and do interviews and podcasts and stuff, and they can tell you more about how the GLP-1s work and what are some things to be mindful of. And there's like more and more people talking about this. Maybe it's just because my algorithm's now showing me all of them, but there's a lot of people who are at different phases of their journey, like 1 month in, 2 months in, like me, or even 3 years into the experience of being on a GLP-1. So yeah, I'm here to add my voice to the community and to share a little bit about my unique experience being an immigrant in Korea and navigating the healthcare system here. But yeah, I hope that the information I provided has been helpful and that the rambling hasn't been too obnoxious. And if it was, well, I'm sure you've already clicked off the video. So thank you for watching. And if you have more questions about what it's like to go to a hospital in Korea, maybe I can answer your questions. But again, or for the first time, I never actually said this, but I'm not a doctor. I'm a teacher. And I'm just taking it one day at a time. I'll tell you more about my side effects getting onto the medication in another video. All right. Have a wonderful day wherever you are, and I'll see you next time. Bye.